Welcome to Southern River Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, as I look into sports, wellness, and fitness. Today, the spotlight of the Onalaska High School Girls Co-Op Hockey team with head coach Mark Thorn, along with two seniors, Emma Tryggestad and Claire
Bekkum.
We're testing her out. Claire Bekkum, who's a friend of mine, her family. Claire Bekkum, she was a little nervous when we come on the show, so we'll have to put her at ease. Onalaska Co-op team, kind of misleading because, Coach, the players are from many different schools.
We actually have kids from 7 different high schools that make up our team. Onalaska, Holmen, West Salem, Galesville, Ettrick, Trempealeau, Logan, Central, and Aquinas.
You know, we wanted to have girls hockey on the program because I don't feel that there's been enough media coverage, enough maybe attention, respect to girls hockey and the success that you and other coaches have had in this area. Would you agree with that?
I would, and you know, we're certainly trying to change that atmosphere. The last 2 years, we've really started making a concentrated effort to grow the sport, especially at the youth levels. And a lot of it starts with girls like these two coming out and teaching the younger kids. They act as role models and to the young girls and getting them involved. And in fact, we've got several of them that are in Learn to Skate programs and are teaching Learn to Skate. So right now, we probably are seeing close to 60 to 65 young girls playing hockey in this area, which is up significantly.
Strength of the program in this area compared to other parts of the state or in the Midwest?
Well, I think we're rebounding would be the best way that I would say that. For a lot of years, we were very strong. We had good numbers in the youth ranks, and then for about 4 years, we saw a real dip in the numbers. And I think part of it is that at the high school level, we may have lost focus in trying to keep that funnel filled with bringing newer players in keeping them engaged with it. Because the challenge in girls hockey is that a lot of times they're playing with the boys. You'll ask these two, and that's how they grew up, playing with boys. And we're now finding out through a lot of research that there are a lot of girls that like to play with just girls. So that's what we're trying to do. And the Coulee Region Girls hockey program is back on track. We have a U14 team. We have a U10 team that is just made up of girls. Next year we're anticipating all 3 levels of 14, 12, and 10. And that really is the feeder system for us at the high school level. So it's important to get that youth involved.
Emma Tryggestad, a senior from Central, know a little bit about you through some of your classmates, and you are certainly have a gift in both hockey and in softball. But let's go back to how you learned and who inspired you and your sort of your road to becoming a high school athlete when you were younger.
When I was younger. So I have a lot of cousins that played in a lot of sports, and I kind of looked up to them for so long. And my dad was a big sports guy. He played 3 sports in high school for a while. And he only played hockey his freshman year, but I was always really interested because my uncle and my cousin played avidly. And so that's actually what I'm looking forward to in college. I'll get to play on my cousin's club team.
Well, good. And Claire Bekkum, of course, knowing your family, knowing the athleticism of your brother, coached your brother when he was younger, and talk about way back when you were introduced to the sport of girls hockey.
I've only been playing girls hockey since sophomore year of high school. I played boys hockey since I was a mite. My brother is really the one who started it. I guess my dad played in high school, but he's still playing, so it's a sport that never ends.
Well, you're certainly, well, if I was going to ask you to share the strengths of these 2 athletes, starting with Emma, what would you say that they would be, Mark?
Well, Emma was named captain of the team. So her leadership ability to be able to gather the girls around and get them all flowing in the same direction and being able to listen to their concerns and bring them back to us as coaches is a very valuable experience. Claire, she's a goalie. And as a goalie, we're a different breed, and I like that. That's what I anticipate out of our goalies, is that you got to be a little bit crazy to stand in front of a puck traveling 90 miles an hour, and yet not be afraid of it. Take it, and you know what? You're the last line of defense, and she stands tall week in and week out.
Claire, what gives you that strength? And watching hockey from a distance like I do, I can relate to what Coach has said about the toughness, both mental and physical, putting your body out there. Have you always had that characteristic?
I'm actually pretty quiet, but it's just fun to take shots at, you know. Stand in front of it. You're there. You're the last person.
But despite your quiet personality, which is an admiring characteristic, by the way, you lead by example rather than vocally. Not a lot of people want that kind of pressure, and you seem to embrace that.
Well, mentally it's hard, especially when you get scored on, but once it feels better when you save more, because you have more shots than you have goals scored on you.
What are your strengths as a hockey player, Emma?
Probably my communication. I'm always looking to pass. I'm not a big fan of skating it up the ice, and Mark can attest to that, though they're yelling at me for that all the time. But I am more than willing to pass it all the way across, and so I'll call for a pass, but then I'm always the first one to pass it all the way up to Kaylee across way yonder down the ice.
You know, Coach, we've known each other for many, many years, and knew you long before you started coaching, working at different positions, but being involved in the community with your own children, being involved in athletics, recreational athletics, being a weekend warrior like I am. We're both weekend warriors competing in a lot of events. And now you're in your third year, and you've committed yourself. That's your passion. You're also up at 6 a.m. Playing adult hockey and winning a couple championships there. So, I mean, it's certainly a passion that you are taking that passion with your athletes, aren't you?
Well, I am. And part of it, Terry, it comes back to, for me, a family reference. I was very fortunate. My three daughters had some very excellent coaches growing up. Probably the most famous one in this area, John Brenner, who just yesterday we celebrated his anniversary of his passing, and just the tremendous influence he had on them. And I think this is my opportunity as a way of paying back for what I've been given, to be able to give back and share it with the young kids. And you know, it's interesting, as we sit and talk in our locker room, there's a lot of X's and O's that we talk about, but there's a lot of things that fall outside of the hockey rink, such as integrity and character, and what it means to be able to win as well as lose. Would you agree, girls?
Definitely.
So the culture is something that you embrace, and it's life lessons and so on. Just real quickly, go back to, I mean, you were an athlete. You've coached at camps and clinics, and you were an assistant coach. You have certainly your resume is impressive, and then you decide, I think I'll be a head coach, and you're trying to balance that with family, with your own hobbies, and with work. By the way, as an executive with Cooley Bank.
Well, you know, I'm very fortunate Cooley Bank allows me to use my time for community service, and this is one of the ways in which I'm allowed to do it. But it does come back to your passion, being able to play hockey and teach that passion and be able to share it and be able to grow. I really fell into the girls program almost by accident, and yet I wouldn't think of going anywhere else. Having three daughters, I see, you know, the coaching that they've been given, and again, you know, just watching these young ladies become strong, confident women is just, it's really something to watch, and being able to help guide them a little bit on their next step is what gives me a lot of joy.
Emma, what do you look for in a coach? A prototype of ideal coach. What would that be?
Do you want me to leave?
No, that's all right. I like to look for a coach, or well, my favorite coaches have always been the ones that really listen to what I'm saying, because I do a lot of inner coaching. I get very mad at myself when I do something wrong, and usually I know what I've done wrong. And so it's always nice to look at when they can see how mad I am, but they don't come at me saying, oh, well, you should have done this and this and this. But instead they'll say, now you know what you did wrong. And then they'll help me and they'll say, well, in addition to what you already are thinking about, you can do this instead too.
Same thing as a successful teacher. You described the same thing. Claire, I know Claire is battling a little bit of a cold, and we appreciate you being on the show. But Claire Bekkum, before we take a break quickly, an ideal coach that you like to play for?
An ideal coach would be one that takes what you already have and teaches you not only by like example, but they're going off of what you already know, not completely changing your style.
Raises you to a new level, right? That's exactly what you just described, and that's certainly we all look for that in coaches. Well, we're going to skate away just for a minute. We'll come back with the second half of the show with Onalaska Girls Co-Op Hockey. We'll be right back.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports again. What a great day to celebrate the success of Onalaska Girls Co-op Hockey with head coach Mark Thorn, along with Emma Tryggestad and Claire Bekkum. Well, as we tape the show here on February 1st, big game tonight, matchup against Black River Falls, and then you have a couple more before the postseason. Talk about what's coming up in the next 3 games, and then how the seedings are for the postseason.
Well, right now we're focused on Black River. They're our main rival. This is such an important game for us tonight because it probably will determine where we will be seated. We have our seeding meeting on Sunday, going into looking at where we're going to fall. Just doing my analysis this morning, we're probably either a 3rd or 4th seed depending upon the outcome of tonight's game. We do have 2 more games. We have one Saturday in River Falls, and then the following Friday, U School from Milwaukee will be coming up here. Both very good teams. You know, and one of the things, Terry, you mentioned our record at 10-10-1. These girls will tell you we do not schedule an easy schedule. We play the top 15 teams in the state, and a lot of it is designed to make these girls better in the month of February. And so that's really what our goal has always been, is to always be playing our best hockey in February so that when playoff time comes, they're ready.
There was a great article in the paper in January that talked about your philosophy and playing against really good teams, which should indeed, if your players are the kind of athletes they should be, they elevate their game. Are you seeing that?
Oh, absolutely, we're seeing it. And we just come off a 3-game win streak. Actually, 2 of the games, actually it's 4 games, isn't it? With 2 of them against Western Wisconsin Stars, the Somerset Co-op. And very good teams. They were ranked 8th in the state, and we beat them twice. And the second time we beat them, we came from behind. So, and we were down going into the 3rd period, and they rose to the challenge. And so I think we're peaking at the right time right now.
Some people don't really understand sport as well as you do, obviously, including the host of the show. But just talking about just a real quick clinic on face-offs and center lines and red and blue lines and penalty shots and so on. Can you give us a quick little summary?
Ooh. So face-offs are kind of like tip-off in basketball. Somebody wins the puck back, usually they want to win it back, and then you just try and attack their zone. You cross the blue line, and then you just try and score on the net, where Claire usually is. And Claire will stop it, and if the other team gets it, but if we get it back, then we try and break it back out of the zone, get it all the way down past our blue line, and we would want to try and score on their goalie.
Basic skills of hockey, too, complex, and you need to be a good athlete. Skating, stopping, turning, stick handling, passing, taking shots, pushing shots, getting the puck right at you if you're a goalie, checking, all these things. Goal skills, whoa. It's more complex than what people think. You have to be quite an athlete, of which both of you are. What's your biggest skill besides stopping the puck? Was I right, by the way, on all those mechanics or all those drills and skills? That describe you? You can probably do them all.
I can try.
But I've watched you play softball, by the way, too. And both of you playing softball, and your skills in softball at third base are quite good, too. So do you have a favorite sport between the two?
I don't really have a favorite. The seasons aren't always the best, but I'd choose hockey because of all of my teammates, but softball because I just love to play softball.
Well, you're good at it.
I love to play hockey too.
You're good at it. I've watched you play, and of course, don't buy into the sport you're involved in. Don't be lukewarm. Don't buy in, sell yourself so that at the end of the season you lock yourself in, you feel that you have submerged yourself in it. Too many people just kind of just give a token effort, and they're not on the show either, by the way.
Well, I'll tell you, they're being very humble. I'll tell you that right now. One thing about these athletes, and they're a representative of the girls that are on this team. Most of them do play more than one sport, and there's a lot of similarities between what they're doing on the softball field as well as the hockey out on the ice. Eye-hand coordination, be able to move and be able to react based upon situations. A lot of that same characteristics you transfer from one sport to the next, and that's why you see them being as successful as they are.
And I knew that before they were even on the show today. But I know, Emma, you're involved in Central Link and National Honor Society, Rotary Interact, and so on. So you're a leader on the ice, on the softball field, and in the school. Is that part of who you are?
Yeah, definitely. I like to take part in a lot of volunteer activities through our school. I am treasurer of NHS, and I like helping out, coordinating blood drives, and going to do certain in-school fundraisers.
All of us are inspired by people in our life. I can think back to my life, which has been several decades. Yours has only been 2. And people have inspired me. Who's inspired you?
I'd have to pick. I mean, it's probably a pretty bread and butter answer, but my mother, she has always been one of the strongest people I've known. She goes out and she gets what she wants, and she always is looking for more, looking to continue learning. She's actually in a class right now learning how to be a child advocate, and it's just amazing everything that she does.
Rapid fire drill, just a couple of things. One, what would your teammates say about you?
They probably say that I'm very caring. That's what I try and tend to lean towards more over everything else. I don't really care about always. I mean, I always try and go hard during practice. But if somebody's hurt or if somebody really needs to take a break, I'll usually ward on the side of caution until.
Philosophy of life.
Oh, be kind to everybody. Life is too short for you not to be nice to everybody.
What if somebody's not kind to you? How do you react to that?
Beat them down with your kindness.
Good answer. What's something someone may not know about you that's watching this throughout the world?
Oh, shoot, I don't know. That I am actually a big nerd for classical music. I listen to it when I'm reading. I listen to it when I'm just doing some math. I don't know, it makes me feel very at peace.
At peace is a good way to put it. And you've had some injuries, but you've had some disappointments too, like all of us have.
Yeah.
Disappointments. What would be one disappointment that sort of lingers with you?
Well, I always think about it, whether it's hockey or softball. There's some teammates that don't always want to give it their all, or they are deterred by coaches that they think aren't treating them fairly, when in reality the coaches, they only have one thing in mind. They want to make you better. And sometimes people can't take that criticism, and it's one of the biggest disappointments that I found.
Have a teachable spirit is what we look for in athletes.
Definitely.
Well, you're a leader too, Claire, and in fact, I remember when you were given the Sportsmanship Award in, I believe, softball for the Mississippi Valley Conference. So you are a leader in a quiet way, but you demonstrate sportsmanship and caring about others. How do you do that?
If you don't play, you're still there. Everyone's supporting you, and just if you win or lose, you gotta keep your head up because they worked as hard as you did.
Exactly. Defining moments. Here you are about to embark on the next chapter of your life. As you reflect on your high school years, defining moments, what stands out?
I don't really know.
Probably something to do with softball, I would think, because weren't you on a pretty elite team?
Yeah, I mean, playing with people who went all the way and got to the highest point and won, and then being a part of that team is pretty special.
Who's inspired you?
My teammates, I'd say.
Same as role models? Mom, dad, brother, sister, anybody else in particular? You started playing when you were young. Did anybody inspire you and said, Claire Bekkum, you have a gift?
I just kind of went with it.
Went with the flow, kind of go with the flow, girl. Nothing wrong with that. But to sacrifice the gift is certainly a disappointment. One of my friends that's a long-distance runner has said that to sacrifice the gift that you've been given is a huge disappointment. Embrace the gift you've been given with passion, so you don't live in the temple of regret. Coach, you've done that. You've embraced your passion and your gift, and you've given it back to your athletes.
Well, I hope so. I mean, as you mentioned, I still play. I like being competitive. One of the best events happened, I think it was last year at the championship game. It was the neatest thing. All the girls came out because it was myself in net playing against my assistant coach on the other team, and it was wild. It was a good game. It was, I think, 4-2 was the final score, and it was just neat seeing all the girls out there cheering for us.
As we close the show, Emma, what's the next chapter of your life? You're graduating. It's like all of a sudden it's over with. Now what?
Right. I'm going to go to UW-Madison, hopefully. I'm going into the School of Business to study accounting, and I'm going to continue on playing club hockey with my cousin.
Good. Stay off of State Street during the week at least. 4 of our 5 children went to Madison. I had to give them the same advice. So. And Claire, the next chapter of your life, soon Mom and Dad are empty nested. Where are you going?
Possibly going to Mankato or Duluth to study math and engineering. Or I have my brother's path and join the military.
Well, good. Well, in case you didn't know this, I don't know about Mankato, but Duluth, it's cold like 11 out of the 12 months of the year. So just thought you might want to know that.
That just means there's ice, right?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
All the time.
So, wow, what a great opportunity to share the success and introduce you to some key members of the community involved in girls high school hockey. It's been a pleasure to have head coach Mark Thorn along with Emma Tryggestad and Claire Bekkum on the show. Thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
We'll be back with some closing thoughts along with some film clips right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
Who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, a packed house at Chuck D. Fieldhouse, John Shelton Court, for a regional final game, the Holmen Vikings versus the Onalaska Hilltoppers. Despite a hard-fought win on Friday night over Toma, the Vikings were ready to play as they attacked the rim on the offensive end and played stellar defense on the other end to take a 26-23 halftime lead. The second half belonged to Onalaska as they went on an 18-1 run and dominated the Vikings on both sides of the floor. Holmen ended their season with a 13-11 record and were led by Brooklyn Paulson with 13 and Caitlin Young with 11. Onalaska was led by senior Emma Gamoki with 17. Molly Garrity and senior Jalen Dobbins each contributed 8 points. Final score, Onalaska 54 and Holmen 40. The regional champion Hilltoppers play Menominee in a sectional semifinal game at Central on Thursday night. Our cameras were also at Aquinas. The Blue Goals had home court advantage on Saturday night, hosting Cuby City in a D4 regional championship game. These two teams played last in 2015 in a sectional semifinal game, with Cuby City knocking off the Lady Blue Goals. This time around, things were completely different, with Aquinas dominating from the opening tip, taking a 38-11 halftime lead. Pressure defense and an equally impressive transition game contributed to a second half where Aquinas picked up its 24th win of the season. Blue Goals senior Modesta Collins had 16 points and 12 rebounds on the night. Lexi Donarski had 17 points, while Jessa Peterson added 12. The Blue Gold defense held the Cubans' two top scorers, Kiera Holzmeyer and Elizabeth Miskey, to 4 and 2 points respectively. Final score, the Aquinas Blue Golds 76, Cuby City 26. Blue Golds advanced to play in the sectional semifinal game against Darlington on Thursday night, and our cameras will be there to bring you all of the action. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's show. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping you will have an active and a healthy week